I destroyed their daughter's birthday party from the sky. And no, I don't regret it. They said she was the queen of the HOA, the woman who could silence a neighborhood with one email. But to me, she was just another Karen drunk on power. It all started when she decided my small farmhouse at the edge of the neighborhood was too rustic for her taste. She called it an eyesore. I called it my life's work. The land had been in my family for 3 generations, every inch of soil soaked with sweat, struggle, and pride. But that didn't stop her from sending me notice after notice. Paint your fence, trim your vines, hide your tractor. I ignored them all. Until one day, she crossed a line I couldn't forgive. That morning, I woke up to laughter and loud music echoing across my land. Dozens of luxury cars lined the dirt road. Balloons floated above my fence. A giant pink banner read, "Happy Birthday, Chloe!" I stepped outside, stunned. My private field, the one clearly marked "No Trespassing," had been transformed into a carnival. Ponies, tents, catering vans, even a fake barn set up for photo ops. My farm, my soil, my space, stolen. I marched straight toward the crowd, but before I could even open my mouth, Karen appeared in her bright floral dress and oversized sunglasses, holding a microphone like she owned the place. "Oh, there he is," she chirped. "The farm guy. Isn't this perfect? I wanted a real farm vibe for my daughter's birthday." I froze. She wasn't apologizing. She was proud. Around her, parents laughed. Kids rode ponies, and servers carried trays of cupcakes. "You're trespassing," I said through clenched teeth. "This is private property." She waved me off like I was background noise. "Relax, it's just for the afternoon. You should be thankful. I'm giving your farm exposure. Maybe someone will buy it from you and fix it up." That was the moment something inside me snapped. My hands tightened around my gloves. "You want a farm vibe?" I whispered. "You're about to get one." I walked away, leaving her in her bubble of arrogance. Behind the barn, I started up the sprayer system, the same one I used every season to fertilize the crops. The air filled with the hum of machinery. Within minutes, a fine mist began to drift across the field. Karen's voice crackled over the microphone. "What's that smell?" Then came the screams. The organic fertilizer I'd been mixing that week wasn't dangerous, but it sure wasn't perfume. The sweet, pungent aroma of real farm life spread through the air like wildfire. Balloons deflated. Guests gagged. Kids cried. The farm fairy princess party turned into a mud-splattered disaster. Karen ran toward me, her high heels sinking in the soil, her designer dress stained with the very earth she mocked. "What have you done?" she shrieked, her voice echoing over the chaos. I looked at her calmly and said, "You said you wanted a farm experience. I just gave it to you, unfiltered." That's when she pointed at me, trembling with rage. "I'll sue you for this," she yelled. I didn't answer. I just smiled and turned off the sprayer, the sound of chaos fading behind me. As I walked back to my porch, I could still hear her shouting, but the only thing I felt was peace. The kind of peace that comes when justice doesn't need a courtroom, just a little fertilizer and timing. But I knew Karen. She wasn't going to stop there. When you humiliate someone who thinks they're untouchable, you better be ready for round 2. And I was. The next few days, the neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Every porch, every group chat, every HOA thread was lit with one name, Karen. Some called it the farm fiasco, others called it karma, but she called it an attack. I didn't care. I'd gone back to my usual routine, sunrise, soil, and silence. Until one morning, a white envelope landed on my doorstep. HOA versus Aslam. Property damage and emotional distress. I smiled. It wasn't the first time someone tried to scare me with paper. But this time I was ready. The day of the hearing, I walked into the county courthouse wearing my work boots and a clean flannel. Karen was already there, sitting beside her lawyer, wearing a pearl-white suit and fake confidence. Cameras flashed. She'd called the local press. I could almost hear her internal monologue. "I'll make him pay. I'll humiliate him publicly." Her attorney stood up and began with the theatrics. "Your Honor," he said, "my client suffered severe emotional trauma when this man intentionally sprayed chemicals over her daughter's birthday event." He paused dramatically. Children cried. Guests fled. This was an act of malice. The judge leaned back, unimpressed. My lawyer, a quiet but razor-sharp guy named Miller, stood up next. Your Honor, before I respond, I'd like to play a short clip. He pressed a button on his laptop, and the courtroom speakers filled with the sound of Karen's own voice. Oh, there he is! The farm guy! Isn't this perfect? I wanted a real farm vibe for my daughter's birthday. Then another clip, me saying, You're trespassing, and her laughing, Relax, it's just for the afternoon. I'm giving your farm exposure. The room went dead silent. The judge's eyebrows lifted. Exposure? He repeated. Karen shifted uncomfortably, her lawyer's smile cracking. Miller continued, Your Honor, here's the property map. My client's land is clearly marked private. Here's a video from the drone camera showing her event setup, tents, cars, and decorations, all inside his fence line. And this, he held up another document, is the fertilizer log. Organic, harmless, non-toxic. No chemicals. Just farm scent. The kind you'd expect at a real farm. The judge chuckled under his breath. So, he said, turning toward Karen, you threw a farm-themed party on someone's actual farm without permission, and then sued him for it smelling like a farm? Her lawyer tried to interrupt, but the judge lifted his hand. Enough. Case dismissed. Karen's face went red, not the blush of embarrassment, but the deep crimson of pure humiliation. The journalists scribbled faster. Cameras clicked. The judge wasn't done. And Mrs. Donovan, he added, trespassing is still a violation of county law. You'll need to pay for cleanup costs and legal fees. Karen gasped. But the judge slammed his gavel. Next case. She stood frozen as the bailiff handed her the payment order. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked small, deflated, powerless. I walked past her slowly, tipping my hat. Guess you got that farm exposure after all? I said quietly. Outside, the reporters swarmed her, microphones flashing. One of them shouted, Karen, do you regret the party? She snapped, no comment, before rushing into her car, shielding her face. But the internet didn't let it go. Within hours, the clips were everywhere. Farm fairy party gone wrong, HOA queen defeated by farmer, farm fiasco. Even the local news aired it with slow-motion footage of her running across the muddy field. The HOA board tried to distance themselves from her. Her so-called friends stopped answering her calls. Her empire of intimidation crumbled overnight. A week later, a small card showed up in my mailbox. No return address. Just one line written in expensive cursive, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't need to reply. Some lessons are better left written in silence. That evening, I walked out to my field, the golden light of sunset painting the soil that had started it all. The wind carried the faint smell of hay and earth, honest, raw, and real. My kind of peace. I looked at the private property sign at the gate and smiled. I replaced it with a new one that said, Welcome to the real farm. No Karens allowed. And just like that, the land felt lighter. The neighborhood had gone quiet. The queen had fallen, and the farm had spoken.